You're listening to NGSC Sports Radio. Hear us live on ngscsports.com, where you can get awesome analysis on all things sports. Or check out our podcasts on iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, and much more. For our latest videos, subscribe to NGSC Sports YouTube channel. Follow us on Twitter at NGSC Sports, and like us on Facebook. NGSC Sports. We never stop.
Are you looking for a place to listen to your favorite music and sports? Look no further. WLSN, the Lieb Sports and Music Network, is a web-based music and sports network. Our network was created to provide authentic, high-energy entertainment through live streaming to a national audience. We play popular music while hosting podcasts from all over the world. Curious? Check us out on the web at liebsports.com. That's LEEIB sports.com. Or find us on the TuneIn Radio app. Got Alexa? Just say, Alexa, play WLSN on TuneIn. WLSN is America's #1 blog-themed sports and music network.
Hey, everyone in, let's go. Huddle up on 3. 1, 2, 3, huddle up.
No one, and I mean no one, comes into our house and pushes us around. This is your game now, gentlemen.
Russian 3, dropping 8. Uyangalele steps up, loads and throws. It's caught. It's pitched backwards, up in the air. It's on the ground, still in Clemson's hands. And now it is down. It is over. And the Irish have knocked off #1 Clemson.
Fans on their feet. Rally towels are being waved. Brad Lidge stretches. The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
Eller for the draw. And as the puck drops, the words that DC fans have been waiting to hear since 1974, the Washington Capitals are the 2018 Stanley Cup champions.
And now, welcome everyone to the Huddle Up Podcast.
We're not going to be fucking sucked this year. We're the Stanley Cup champions! Yeah!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Huddle Up Podcast. As we sit here, the three of us, on a Sunday night, August the 8th. I see my two cohorts here are thrilled to have heard that fantastic audio that has graced the airwaves.
The worst intro ever. No joke.
Listen, Phillies. Listen.
Before this shit talk commences, our home network, NGSC Sports, ngscsports.com, our secondary home, the Lieb Sports and Music Network, LEEIB Sports.com. I'm glad to be joined tonight with friends that I jump on Earnest's podcast many a times, and I think you've been a guest here before. I think both of you guys may have been a guest here once before. It's hard to keep track of things.
Called in a lot.
Yeah.
I'm back when the Dallas O-line was newly formed and amazing. I did have that conversation with you that they should have been the MVP that year.
Those were the days, weren't they?
93, 92.
Oh,
don't be a bitch, Patriots fans.
Well, don't worry, we'll get to you. But Ernest, EJ, Ernest Christian, and Kyle effing Nash. Boys, how are you? Ernest, how you doing tonight?
I can't call it, man. It's just like a podcast 2 weeks in the making.
Yeah. We've been working on getting this one for a little while, but we knew it was going to happen. It was all a matter of when.
I mean, listen, it's really all EJ's fault. His priorities of putting his
you're the asshole on top of last week. We talked about it.
Excuse me. This guy putting his wife's mental health before a podcast. What an asshole.
That guy is, right?
Just the worst. But Kyle, I think you had some shit talk to start it with. I mean, it'll be
I thought it through, and listen, beyond the fact that you're playing stuff that, like, you do realize they lost the conference, right? But enough about that. Like, I think after thought, I can't really talk that much trash because at the end of the day, you're more in touch with the present day than Dolphins fans. I'll give you that much.
That's fair. That is very fair. Yeah, I don't.
Wait, are we still talking Jim's the hull up promo, the hull up intro to the show because I had to deal with the fucking Phillies. I'm a Met fan. I got swept this weekend by the Phillies, of course.
First of all, problem one, you're a Mets fan. You should be used to dismay and misery by now. I mean, why would you just beg for abuse? Like, see, it wasn't you caring about your wife's mental health. It's because you were afraid of getting hit if you didn't do it her way. That's how much you're used to abuse. No, that's not true. Lord, I like that, ladies and gentlemen. That's a joke at the Patriots fans' expense.
Yes.
Affirmative.
No, EJ, I tried to explain this to you yesterday when you were complaining about the Mets. Come join me in Baltimore, okay? The Orioles, I know what to expect. They're going to suck every year. Every so often, you'll have a magical season. Like, what was that, 2015, where they like get to the second round of the playoffs, and like it was literally like it was like a World Series victory for me. I'm like, this is fantastic. I'm watching the Orioles in October. Like, just come. But every other year, it's gonna suck. We're gonna suck. We're gonna lose games at times like 16-2. There's no expectation there. You have a team that you think is going to be good, and then they disappoint you. Just be an Orioles fan. There's no disappointment here.
See, it was that mentality that got Cal Ripken Jr. the record for the most games started or played or whatever it was. I mean, just screw it. Just show up. You'll be fine. Boom. That's why he got the record. Okay.
Oh, is this show live to the masses right now?
No, this is a record. This is a record only. This one.
We're secure into a little.
We're in a secured, safe location.
Yeah, good too, because I just talked baseball. That usually means Armageddon.
Right. And Ernest, you look like you're in a nuclear fallout shelter. So
I didn't say it this time during the recording. I want the record to show.
So anyway, I do the show on Skype. You get the little fake backdrop. It's great, and then you have to do the show here. It's like, oh boy.
Well, if you did like most humans can do and actually put things behind them,
I don't know what you want. What are you talking about?
There's no green screen.
Sorry. Did I bump my sign, Joe Montana football?
It's like a fucking flea market.
Like it's all live.
Like a flea market, spoken like a jealous being.
Once the football season starts, and I'm back doing this live weekly. I actually have football stuff behind me, but I'm fat, I'm lazy, and I just leave all my 3-count stuff up during the off season. Deal with it.
On those large bags of popcorn from the movie theater.
That's true.
I was gonna bring down. I have a huge bucket of caramel corn from the beach that my buddy
Holy
brought.
Oh, man,
dude, it's so good, and I think it's like a 3-gallon bucket, and it's just the best. It lasts forever. But let's get started here because there's things and there's more NFL to talk about than there is anything else. But the college landscape seems like it's going to be kind of on the shift here soon. Texas and Oklahoma will be moving to the SEC in 2025. And I did love this. I saw last week Steve Spurrier was on with Paul Feinbaum. I don't like Paul Feinbaum, but the quote here is great nonetheless. When Spurrier was asked about what would incentivize Texas and Oklahoma to leave the Big 12, he said, well, if you're going to struggle in the Big 12, you might as well struggle in the SEC. Right? That's such a great quote.
Hey, the ball nailed it, man.
There are things out there where people might say that quote is fake. Having been in pressers with Steve Spurrier by way of the Orlando Apollos, yes, that is him. I don't need to watch that offensive.
Oh, he's great. So whichever you wants to start here, but and I know there's been various reports about potential other schools that could be on the move: Michigan, Ohio State, Clemson, Florida State, others.
Florida State thinks they could compete in the SEC.
Maybe in field hockey or something. Definitely not football.
It's so weird. Like, I've been a Florida State fan for 31 years, and these last couple of years, man, I even when Florida State struggled at the end of Bowden era, they were still 8-4 and 9-3. They were so competitive. You knew what you were getting every year. The fact that they barely make the bowls or they're missing bowl games now and now they're getting shunned every year. I'm not used to this, man. This is so bad.
I mean, I'd hate to be this guy, but speaking from the guy with the Aaron Evans original lineman picture there, the problem lately has been the O-line in general. I'll put it this way, EJ Christian. Everyone in the ACC, not called Clemson, is weaker.
Yeah.
No. And I'm sorry, I don't count your mercenaries, Jim. We've been over this.
That's fine. I'm happy it's 2021 and Notre Dame is no longer in a conference for football, so I'm better.
Yeah, I don't know how permanent that will be, but hey, get it while you can, man.
Right. At least for now, we're still independent. But yeah, with everything that's going on in college football, that could certainly be something that changed. The thing I've said for years with Notre Dame, I said until college football basically calls Notre Dame's bluff, they'll remain independent. If there comes a point where, it's going to be basic, not totally impossible, but it's going to be a much more difficult road than it's always been, because Notre Dame does have to be undefeated to get into a playoff. But if college football makes it more difficult with how they might structure, with whatever's going to happen with conferences, whatever restructuring is going to happen to the playoff, college football may force Notre Dame's hand. That's just something that's going to have to be watched as the time goes on. But before we obviously dig into this, as we're recording today, Bobby Bowden passed away this morning. Obviously, legendary coach of Florida State. But we obviously want to recognize that. Hated when Notre Dame played against him, but I mean, he's one of the best ever to walk the sidelines. So just wanted to recognize that. But yeah, I mean, the scope of and obviously it changes college sports, but we're focusing on the football side here with big changes in the Big 12. What do you guys think?
EJ, start off, man. I could go for a while.
Is this a reaction probably to what's impending going to happen with players getting paid and then everything else of that nature, with the playoff probably increasing to probably 18, maybe more in the future? Do you think this is all a reaction to this? Because this came out of nowhere. These teams leaving the conferences, this came out of nowhere.
It's very interesting, a concept you mentioned that. I'll see that and raise you the fact that the American Athletic Conference, which is better than the ACC, is finding themselves in a position where if you look at the cities where those colleges are located versus the American Athletic Conference being in relatively more prominent cities like Houston, New Orleans, Memphis. Hell, Orlando counts compared to, like, let's say Gainesville or Tallahassee.
Sure.
It ain't a huge city in and of itself, but the way that program under Gus Malzahn has come to embrace the player marketing is special in its own way. And I'll put it this way, EJ, that might be a factor, but I couldn't tell you exactly how. Money still is a factor, though, because it's very interesting that Texas and Oklahoma, the two teams that basically account for half of the media dollars in the deal, are the ones that move. So the Big 12 is in big trouble. And for all the schmack I talk on the ACC, because they are overrated as hell, that's why a mercenary beat the hell out of them last year. Up until the last game, of course. Sorry, Jim, that's the fact.
No, that's reality. That's the reality I know all too well as a Notre Dame.
I have a feeling.
And listen, for all the trash I talk on Brian Kelly, listen, I don't care how weak the competition is. 4 10-win seasons in a row for the first time in the program's history is a big deal. So I definitely want to make sure that prop is given. But seeing the Big 12 kind of fall apart isn't a bad thing, because how many times have they sent a sacrificial lamb to whoever, to get destroyed? Oklahoma, how many times has been that lamb, right?
Right.
Maybe the thought, I'm speculating here, but they took the biggest monetary power, which is Texas, by way of the Longhorn Network, and the best football power, arguably, certainly at least recently, with Oklahoma, combined their force, with our powers combined, became Captain Planet and ran like hell, right? So it'll be interesting with all the talk of the AAC and the Big 12 linking up, even allegations of collusion between Mike Oresco and ESPN and the AAC and all that brewing in the works, is all very compelling stuff. But I'll tell you this, just from a personal opinion, if the Big 12 dissolves, don't find me crying over that spilled milk. My only regret is that it wouldn't be the Pac-12 instead.
In fact, I'll tell you right now, I expect that to happen. If you lose the two biggest teams in that conference, it's going to happen. It's just the shortfall of what's going to happen in the next 2 or 3 years. Who knows?
Because cash-wise, it puts them closer to being on par with the American.
Absolutely
correct.
Apparently defense isn't an expense they're willing to pay. I'm talking more trash on the Big 12. This is what I do.
No, that's fine. I'm here for all of that.
But I mean, at day's end, honestly, I think when you consider the programs that are there, Cincinnati, a notoriously just nasty team within the trenches, defense especially. Even before Desmond and Rinder were and company were a factor of late, making it to the NY6 last year. Temple, who's a weaker team, always very nasty. I mention these because these are teams that play defense. Memphis has had a relatively stout defense. UCF's defense kind of sucked of late, but their offense is on air raid levels with the Big 12. So it's not like they can't put up stats and things on the board too. Tulane is deceptively tough in the trenches. It will change the makeup of the football you're used to seeing.
100%. And like this is something, because yes, we did chuckle at the prospect of Florida State being one of the other names that I've seen brandished about. Now, whether or not these are just sports media guys looking to get clicks on a Twitter post, or if there's any actually smoke to a fire with linking schools like Michigan, Ohio State, Clemson, Florida State, those are all big name schools, the recognizable name schools. So I don't know what's there, but I think this is going to be a really interesting thing to watch. As we know, this is coming 2025, so there's a couple of years in play here. In terms of who might shift elsewhere. I don't know where a lot of these schools' contracts are with their conferences that they're currently in, but if this is somewhat of a power play, I don't want to just say by the SEC, but as we're seeing the landscape shift and move with the name, image, likeness thing, which has I think we talked about that on Earnest on your show the last time we were all together a bit. And like this is maybe kind of a shift of away from the Power Five and the what's the next level and all of that, and what's going to happen to the Big 12, and then like you said, the Pac-12 has for years been they're not going to get anybody in a playoff unless there's expansion. Maybe occasionally whoever wins the Pac-12 might miracle their way into that fourth spot, but they're going to get slaughtered either way. So maybe we're moving away from the structure that we've known in terms of the powerhouse when we're talking college football. That the structure of the sport that we know and love on Saturdays in the fall is on the change.
What I've heard said by Gus Malzahn, again, just because I'm closest to UCF, excuse me, as a program, I hear him say more.
Sure.
The way he put it was the landscape of college football is changing every day. Now, at first I would have scoffed at that, but not so much now. But here's the thing that I want to make sure sight isn't being like anybody who's talking about the Big Ten moving. Generally speaking, I don't see that happening. right? Now, maybe Maryland will go back to the ACC where it belongs.
Right.
Maybe the Big Ten will become 10 teams again. What? You know. That's really the worst case scenario for me for them. Obviously, I think what the SEC may be trying to do is kind of make an empire out of it. And it would be interesting if they acquired UCF in the Orlando area, because then they might be able to get rights to the Imperial March from Disney somehow. So that's really kind of what I think the goal. No, I'm kidding. I don't think UCF's going to the SEC. I really just wanted to make the Imperial March music joke. But, honestly, I think there's some there in that the SEC sees the expanding landscape with the 12 potential 12-team playoff scenario, which I think is too many. But I think they're doing that to make sure that they still dominate the prestige, they still dominate the regular season and the headlines. That fall pine foam. I'm gonna stick with that. But that everybody's favorite SEC analyst that talks more about UCF than some of his own schools. If he's talking about them, they're relevant. And I think that's what the SEC is trying to achieve, is to make sure, sure, they may not win the championship, but they're going to have the most prestige. They're going to have the most power. They're going to command the most media. They're going to be the most talked about. Listen, Lex Luthor wouldn't even let Otisburg happen. I'm just saying. Right.
Yeah, EJ, what do you think about the changing landscape in college football?
I think it's interesting. I just think that these next 5 or 10 years, like I said, with the naming rights stuff, and these conferences could be going down under, and these schools condensing to bigger conferences. I just think we are in for a major shift. I don't think we've seen in our lifetime, really, honestly. Maybe since before we did the BCS and all that stuff. I mean, this is major.
The next most recent thing of the Big East, right?
Yeah, right. But Big East existed, and then they went on. I mean, they didn't go under. They did go under. Yeah, they didn't go under actually. But yeah, this I mean, to be honest, for me, right now, there's so much going on with that college football right now in this last month and a half alone that it's hard to keep up what's going on. Like, there's so much shit going on.
Yeah.
It's a lot, and it's a lot, and no, that's not just rumors anymore. It's now actual things that are in motion that are fluid right now. So it's a lot to take in, but could it be partially because of the coronavirus and the pandemic? Maybe. I mean, a lot of people's finances and the way they look at money now has changed. There's a lot of way people do business these days now. I mean, I'm sure it's influenced to some degree. I don't know. It's a lot going on, man, and I still don't know if it's good or bad, honestly. And that's why I'm kind of like on the fence. I don't know if it's all positive or negative. I mean, players getting paid, I like that, obviously, but beyond that is the SEC gobble up more major schools. Look, I know Texas, Oklahoma overrated, but they're still major schools. Is that good for the sport of college football? I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see how all of this shakes out, and like we said, I mean, for me, just to see the potential impact it has on my team is certainly out there as well. So it's definitely going to be something that I'm sure we'll talk about, whether it's here, whether it's on your guys' shows, whatever. But let's shift here now to the NFL. Lots of stuff going on. Obviously, training camps are underway. But the big saga, we were talking a little bit about it. It was still kind of in its learning stages. Now we know a little bit more at this point in terms of Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. We know he's going to be the quarterback there this year, which I think, Kyle, you had pegged that one down back in like March. So kudos to you, sir. But we know the 2023 year in Rodgers' contract would be voided. He reports camp for this year would be voided. No franchise tags allowed in the future. The Packers will review his situation after this upcoming season. His contract adjusted, no loss of income to give Packers more cap room now. And mechanisms are in place to address Rodgers' issues with the team. So where do you guys stand with Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, and the whatever took place to get him to show up to Lambeau for camp this year. Kyle, we'll start with you.
Listen, I mean, I know that I'm a guy that is more critical of Tom Brady than most people, mostly because you want to tell me he's the GOAT and yet can't move a single lick left or right within a pocket.
I'm looking at me.
What's the matter, Patriots fan? Take it easy. But the no, and this isn't even a shot at EJ. This is a conversation he and I have had that really, if you want to make the conversation about most accomplished quarterback, of course it's Tom Brady. You want to make a comment about one of, if not the smartest quarterbacks not named Peyton Manning, it's Tom Brady. Yeah. Though here's the piece that I add. Here's somewhere else. Here's something else where Tom Brady is LeBron James smart, and that's in the way his contract works. Now, granted, Aaron Rodgers in the past was dating Olivia Munn. He had the opportunity to have the rich significant other and shirked it. The problem that both he and our good friends EJ Russell Carrington Wilson, the actual 2017 and 2019 MVPs.
We're still doing this, huh?
What's that?
We're still doing this, huh?
Till death do I part, bitches. Moving on.
I do.
So, and in 2013, he wasn't the best quarterback in the league like you thought. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I never said that. I was Rodgers always then. So
at any rate, the model is you want to say, hey, I want better roster surrounding me, while also holding out the Glock with which you are robbing the team salary rise. Now, I don't necessarily think that Rodgers is robbing anybody. It's a metaphor. Obviously, he as far as quarterback worth is absolutely 100% in the quarterback market. He should be towards the top, if not the top. I'm totally feeling that.
Correct.
But at the same time, you are handcuffing the salary cap. And also right after a pandemic where things are going to constrict quite a bit. That's really the only beef I have with Rodgers. Everything else, listen, as the GMs go, this wasn't quite as, what's this word? It wasn't the same as the whole Brett Favre situation where the dude was floundering and flip-flopping more than any shoe you'll find on the beach.
Sure.
They just straight up did not talk with this cat, and then they were surprised when he got cheesed off. Folks, guys, friends, this is a man whose own brother publicly has thrown him under the bus as being a difficult human being. Greg Jennings goes on Colin Cowherd all the time, and on one of the interviews specifically points out that Aaron Rodgers is kind of a difficult human being to work with because he's so good at his job, right? And you're shocked that when you didn't tell him this was happening, he got pissed. Now, granted, I don't advocate saying, screw you guys, I could do Jeopardy as a negotiating tactic. That's kind of shitty. But is anybody really, really surprised Aaron is pissed here? I never understood.
He should be pissed. He should have been pissed. He should be pissed.
Right.
At the end of the day, both sides got it right. Both sides won. Basically a 3-year contract turned to 2 years. You play out this year. We'll see what happens after the end of the year. I mean, look, the only way I see him come back next year is if they win the Super Bowl. Anything short of that, I can see this marriage ending by the end of this year because it's clear the Packers want. It's clear that the Packers want to, at some point, exit stage right out of this era and go to Jordan Love at some point. That is obvious.
Both sides won. My future is Jordan Love, who the Packers are so afraid of speaking, they won't bring him to the mic. And they're not even sure he's going to be good enough to start when Aaron Rodgers, and that's a win-win.
The optics are that they trade up for this guy. It's bad optics. But Kyle, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing that people don't understand. At the end of the day, as good as Rodgers is, I'm one of the biggest Rodgers advocates on the planet. They necessarily didn't do anything wrong here. If you look at Rodgers' last couple of years prior to him drafting Love, the guy was getting hurt every single season. To the point where you started wondering, okay, will he actually hold up going forward?
One of the most overrated offensive lines of the year, relative.
I don't disagree with the.
And you're gonna blame him for shouldering more burden.
No. Again, I'm not. But
happened here.
No, but I'm not blaming Rodgers for that. But the fact of the matter is this: he does get hurt. Whatever the line sucks, obviously, and I agree with you on that. The line sucked back in 2020 and 10 when they won a Super Bowl. To the record, I'm just saying that.
Thank you for that.
No, it's the truth.
I mean, a personality we both know chastised me for that, but you know.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes.
Someone that we always talk about?
No, not lately. Oh God, no. It's not wrestling darling fan. No, it's somebody I haven't heard from in a long. Either of us have heard from in a long time. But
bottom line, I mean, I don't blame the Packers for what they did. It's just the way they did. The optics are bad because they actually traded up for the guy. Number one, you know that
Rodgers out of the conversation doesn't lose you at all.
Say that one more time.
Leaving Rodgers out of the process doesn't seem completely foolish to you at all.
That bothers me. Yes.
Yeah. If they didn't do that, this wouldn't be a problem, and maybe Rodgers would stay there. That's your win-win.
I am still pro Rodgers in the situation, though.
Of course.
Bottom line, I'm just saying I just don't blame the Packers. They did looking out and see. Okay, well, this guy's getting hurt every year. What reason?
So EJ, you're saying you understand why the Packers moved to get Love because of Rodgers' injuries that were occurring, but from what Kyle's saying is the reason they got to that point is because the Packers failed to put the proper pieces around him. The Packers have been more reactive than proactive, and that's kind of the problem here.
Well, that too.
They left Rodgers out of the conversation where they were drafting with somebody who could be an alleged replacement.
What's got back to the question now? Because we see a situation now with quarterbacks and empowerment and player empowerment and all that. Aaron Rodgers this year with the Packers. Russell Wilson earlier this offseason, you know, what happened with the Seahawks and quarterbacks have input. Where do you guys stand on that? Do you think should quarterbacks have more input and say so with personnel? I say yes.
I think it depends. I think it depends on the quarterback. Like if you have a guy that is established, if you have a guy, especially that's won you a Super Bowl or more, or has gotten you deep into the playoffs, into those positions, if he's a guy that you're going to commit 3, 5, 7, 10 years of your franchise to, you absolutely better be putting that guy in the conversation. Now, should the Jaguars be, you know, having those conversations with Trevor Lawrence today? Probably not, because, you know, as good as he was in college, we don't know if he's going to be that good in the NFL. You wait until you see what that guy is like.
Well, let's ask Tony Khan that.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I mean, that's the thing. It's situationally based, but if there is a team that is invested in their quarterback, then absolutely that guy should be in the conversation.
Well, every team's invested in their quarterback. I think it's a matter of are we looking at a future Hall of Famer, right? Like, for example, obviously Sunshine Trevor Lawrence ain't going to be in that list. I don't think Dak belongs there. I don't think
At least not yet. I'll agree with that.
Sure. I don't think who's another
Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson should.
But
Deshaun Watson, I think, might be the lowest tier quarterback who I can make an argument for, and the only reason he has the argument for is he could come to the table and say, "Listen, bitches, you done made my cupboard bare. Fill it or I'm out," which he's kind of already done.
It also found not just to you know who the quarterback is, also to whether the team identifies that guy as the future of this franchise. And if that team identifies that guy as the future franchise for the next 5-10 years, yes, they should have input without question.
I think it's dangerous to set it by looking at it from the team's perspective. I think you need to do it based on what the player is. And if he is I mean, hell, Kirk Cousins was supposed to be the future in Washington before they became the WFT.
Yeah, input.
Do you really think the Red Tails should staple that to him? I'll see that and raise you. Do you think Kirk Cousins should be determining the future of, should he have had the say in the Stephon Diggs trade? Hell no. You know.
Right.
Yeah, I think it depends on the team. It depends on the structure of the organization. It depends on who the quarterback is, and it depends on the personality of the quarterback. If you have a quarterback that's like, you know, Like, I mean, a guy like Rodgers should, with his his personality should absolutely have been part of the conversation, because you could avoid a lot of the problems this organization has had.
Russell Wilson too, also should be consulted and at least looked at. I'm not saying you should do what he says, but he should be in the part of the process, part of the input guy. That's all.
Oh yeah, teams definitely, part of that whole discussion. Teams have to be careful, how much wielding power they give to the quarterback and their input. But in at least close to 10 teams, or a third of the league, maybe that many quarterbacks should at least have some say or discussion and be part of that discussion.
I'll dare say that Prescott's in that conversation too. I mean, they're paying him as such now, so obviously they've committed to him. Might as well.
You're still looking at it from the franchise point of view, EJ. I think it's a matter if this decision, if I'm a GM, okay, my decision is based on, can I win the battle two places? Hey, when have you won a playoff game lately? And B, can I win the court of public opinion over the quarterback? In Dak Prescott's case, I can talk smack on both, though I grant his playoff record ain't his fault. Aaron Rodgers went all Aaron Rodgers on that MFer, and he should have gotten at least one round and probably another. But enough about that.
Does that still hurt, Jim? Does that game still hurt you?
Not as much as the Des Bryant catch.
Look. Okay. So obviously, I live in a region where there's a lot of Patriot/Brady haters, because a lot of people in my region, Pittsburgh fans, Eagles fans, Giants fans, Jets fans, Bills fans, there's a lot of teams in this Ravens fans that have been hurt by Tom Brady. Playoffs, whatever, critical games down the stretch.
I don't know about that Tom Brady hurt. I just know we play Super Bowls, we beat them, so whatever.
Your Patriots play Super Bowls and you beat whoever you play.
You stop that stuff right now.
For me, Tom Brady never hurt me. You know who hurt me? Aaron fucking Rodgers hurt me. Rodgers hurt me. The Packers hurt me. Mason Crosby. Right. So like, Rodgers hurts me. I have that hate, but I also have hate for my own defensive coaching staff and scheme and players. So it's not just Rodgers that has hurt me. But I have Rodgers hurt. I don't have Brady hurt. But yeah, it's the Packers got their guy for this year. That's what we know. That he is there. It's going to be a situation that we see what happens beyond this season. And possibly, I guess, depending, I said before last season, and it was a big foot in mouth situation where I thought if the Packers didn't perform well last year, that Rodgers could have been on the move last year. If they're not performing well this year, guys, do you see a scenario where they're like, well, we know where this is going, let's try and get something out of it? Do you think Aaron Rodgers could be on the move if the situation, let's say we're late October and the Packers are sub 500
current season? Well, no, I don't think they have been in the middle of the year.
You don't see them moving this year at all?
Even if they want to, I think that they'll wait till the year is over.
The caveat first of all, there's two. One, I wonder if Aaron Rodgers' contract allows for that. That's my first question. Two,
right.
The caveat I will say is that it's possible, but it will be because Aaron Rodgers signs off on it. In other words, if he goes out there like the week they played the Buccaneers in the regular season and just quits when it goes off to a bad start, wow, what a metaphor. Then that's the way it would happen. Sure, I don't see it as much as and I'm not a Aaron Rodgers hater, by the way. Listen, I already think he's the best quarterback in Packer history. No, for our fans, he's only third behind Bart Starr. Know your role. But yeah, that's the only scenario I really see it happening, but I'm not going to rule it out.
Sure. Yeah, people. The thing I've always said about Favre is he benefited from the fact that they won a Super Bowl. And he's a gunslinger who won a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
he's I get it.
Yeah, but I mean, if he doesn't win that Super Bowl, I think that Brett Favre is looked at a whole hell of a lot different.
Oh yeah,
carry him through all of his shenanigans.
I'll still take Dan Marino with the Brett Favre. Sorry.
Oh, easily.
And we all breathe oxygen. Next question.
The sky is blue, grass is green, water wet. All right.
Ernest's wall is green, or excuse me, gray.
And Roman Reigns is champion. There we go.
One of the biggest stories coming into this year, this training camp, obviously, we know it's been one of the big stories over the last year and a half in not only in sports in the world. But last year we saw rescheduling of games, moving of games. This year, as part of the lengthy COVID protocols and everything this year, no rescheduling of games this year. If there's a certain degree of positive tests, a game can't be played. There will be a forfeit. A team will get a loss. The other team will get a win. Nobody's paid if games are canceled. Not canceled, forfeited, I should say. We've seen a lot of player reaction to it. I mean, we've seen the Cole Beasleys of the world. We've seen other guys that have come out. Where do you guys sit with the NFL protocol? I mean, I go back to what I said a year ago. Once the season gets underway, there is a lot of money and there is a lot of responsibility for the league, for these teams, to make sure you get to the finish line once you start that race. And this is a business. This is a business that is protecting itself. We're seeing already just in the world of mask mandates returning and businesses requiring masks for employees, for visitors, this and that. The NFL is no different. They are in the business of protecting themselves and making sure they get to the finish line. And that's what this is. And my stance on these guys are like, I'd rather retire than take a vaccine. Well, if that's what you want to do, they're not forcing you. But if that's really the stance you want to take, man, go ahead and do it. Like, that's your choice.
Freedom of choice.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's people in this world. I am one of them that I lost my job to this pandemic. I didn't have the choice. The choice was taken from me. These players have a choice. People that work in industries that are said vaccination or you lose your job. But those people have a choice. And that's not even what the NFL is saying. The NFL, they're if you reach a certain threshold of vaccination, that yes, there's a different set of rules, but it's based on science.
I really believe that come hell or high water, the amount of players that are still on the fence or not doing vaccination at all, that will ratchet up as we get through this preseason. That number will increase. Players will get vaccinated because at the end of the day, it comes down to money, and you don't want to risk losing money. And players will see the bottom line is the bottom line. The main thing is the main thing. And if that's what it takes to get your paycheck, get your game check, whatever, they'll get vaccinated. So I'm not worried about that at this point. All this stuff the players are saying now, the Cole Beasleys of the world, and all these guys, it's all posturing. And at the end of the day, they're gonna put up a shut up at this point.
I mean, look at Washington. They had their mini outbreak over this last week, and we're already seeing the numbers of unvaccinated players getting vaccinated ticking up.
When it comes on the money at the end of the day, the game's over now, guys. The game is all fun and games in April, May, and June when I don't know, get vaccinated. Now NFL turns up the heat now and getting vaccinated, which by the way, NFL has the right to do that. It's a private business.
Absolutely. And I also wonder if there's not, because obviously the players across teams have to be talking to each other. And the reality we're seeing in this first week of guys that have to go on protocol and have to sit out of practices and things like that, where they're talking to each other through agents. They're talking to each other through their own channels saying, look, if we end up having the games canceled, that doesn't just affect you. Your team doesn't just take a loss. We all lose money. And that if what happens if you have an outbreak and you go out you miss 2 games, you miss 2-3 games in a season.
There'll be natural pressure from their own peers.
Exactly. So Kyle, your thoughts on
gentlemen, you're both pretty wise, generally speaking. As much fun as I make of EJ and his Patriots fanhood, I do believe he is still a smart man on occasion. Go Heat, bitch. But I had to throw that in there so I don't hate you. man, I listen. I can't share your faith in that.
Okay.
There's going to be idiots. I don't think you're going to get. If you get NFL teams that clear 75% vaccination on their rosters, I will in fact be surprised.
Really?
When
the Redskins, real quick, the Redskins are what right now? 50%?
The Washington football team.
Sorry.
The Red Tail.
I'm sorry.
Unacceptable.
WFT. WTF.
Of course, the black guy gets the SJW thing wrong.
Of course. Always.
No, and it's unfortunate you mentioned the Red Tails because they're the example I point to. If your coach immunocompromised because of chemotherapy and you're still fucking blowing it, money isn't gonna do it.
The guy that helped absolutely change the course of a franchise because he's that good of a head coach.
And he was one score
I wanted. God damn it.
And one score away from toppling EJ's boy in a playoff game.
Right. With and I mean that defense, young.
Don't count, buddy. Sorry.
What's that? You could not. I didn't hear it. What doesn't count?
Almost don't count.
No, it doesn't. But it does when you're the name of your quarterback is best remembered for how much it sounds like a beer brand.
Heineken? Yeah. Heineken.
But yeah, I mean, I was when I saw how low the number percentage vaccinated on the Washington football team going into camp, and kudos to Ron Rivera for literally putting his team on blast, like not necessarily on blast, but like they asked him about it, and he said he was disappointed, like he's frustrated that he's sitting there. The guy was going from practice to chemo treatments not even 12 months ago, and you're not gonna at least respect that man.
It's gonna be
in a room, like fuck, that's bad, man. Like that's not good. Like it's fucking brutal. Like, and that's where we're at, unfortunately, in this world.
At the end of the day, the main thing's the main thing. When paychecks out on the line, you're not getting paid to do the thing you want to do. That's going to wake people up.
Well,
for some, yes.
Here's where I'll amend my statement. They may achieve that 75% that I'm talking about by the end of the season.
They'll crush it.
Because once they feel the pain, see, that's what humans do. They have to feel the pain before they get the alleviation of it, right? Insurance companies have resorted to giving the common man checks to encourage regular doctor's visits and preventative things, which is essentially what a vaccine is, right? Inoculation is a preventative measure. The fact that you could still be asymptomatic, but still have the disease while having the vaccine and all that other stuff is a separate question. It is a preventative measure that should be done. There is no situation. The government is not using you as like a satellite, like Eric Cartman in space, with a TV series or some crap, where jargons get involved and things like that. No. Okay. It's just, I'm trying to make all these jokes because as somebody who is so tied to the healthcare industry within my family's professional history, it's frustrating as hell to see how stupid people have gotten over it. And apparently Cole Beasley and other NFL players are not immune from it. Pardon the pun.
It's comical, honestly.
Yeah, it's to me it's just so baffling that we're
right.
we're still at this point. We're still at these conversations. Andrew, listener of the show, Andrew, this goes to college and the NFL because we know a lot of conference. I think pretty much every conference has come out and said with college football they're doing the same thing. There's no rescheduling of the games. There's going to be a forfeit situation. So he said he said because I put out about people giving us if there's anything else I want to cover. He said over under on games forfeited. I said, well, why don't you give us a number of games forfeited to COVID protocols, and then we'll go if we think over under. So he said 2.5 for the NFL. So do you think 2.5 games in the NFL this season forfeited due to COVID
Way under. In fact, I don't think be any. Again, I think people will wise up as we get closer to. I know Kyle's a little more pessimistic, and I get that. But I think at the end of the day, people when his paycheck's online, the main thing's the main thing. Bottom line.
Hey, listen, on the Student of the Game report on the Earnestly Speaking podcast. Wait, is it still shameless if it's for somebody else?
A little less shameful, but yeah, I think
it.
still shameless.
Thanks for the promo, buddy.
Time on the Student of the Game report, you are always way more considerate and hopeful for the human race than I. This is no different. That being said, I don't think there'll be 3 games canceled. I think that first game, everyone's going to get, hit up. What will make that difficult is that they'll be some of them might experience symptoms. I know I personally, for my first shot, I felt basically nothing. And my second shot for the vaccine, I had a fever for a day and a half. So, for younger players, that's problematic. I've even seen, and not to put any fanhood into it, like I'm trying to remember the young man's name. Oh my gosh, I'm totally blanking. Sorry, what?
The Niners?
No.
Something the Niners.
No, wrong fanhood. I mean, as far as like me covering UCF.
Okay.
Gabriel Davis, a younger player, probably can't necessarily afford his missing as much practice time. Now, granted, he has under his belt, but like, let's say he was coming in as a rookie and then Cole Beasley's doing this and he's like, yeah, thanks, Cole, for standing up for us younger players who don't want vaccination. Woo! Hell. Or let's say it was something like this with the Jaguars and Sunshine was influenced, and now you have a young quarterback who might lose practice time because he's recovering from the vaccine because he had second thoughts, right? It's, man, we can go on and on this, but at the end of the day, I think it's going to be under 3 games canceled for the NFL.
See, I'm actually and I'm just as pessimistic about people in society.
Yeah, your Twitter feed. I know this.
I'm going to go over 2.5, and the reason I think that is because, let's say there's a game week 2 that's forfeited. Now it's real. So there's a laundry list of players across the league that go, oh shit, we are going to lose money here. Even at that point, you're looking best case scenario 6 weeks for that player if he gets the shot today to be fully vaccinated. Like, unless I guess if you get the J&J shot, it's 2 weeks, 3 weeks. But depending which shot you seek out, if you want the double dose, you're looking, first shot 3 weeks. I think with Pfizer it's 3 weeks. Then you get the second one, so you're 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks if you get the either Pfizer or Moderna. That's a long time. Are you gonna at that point look at your family? Are you gonna look at your spouse? Are you gonna look at your girlfriend and go, look, we got to tighten up ship. We have to be more careful, or this could get out of control. Right. What happens if, as we've seen cases explode over the last couple of weeks in the States as it is, things even continue to get worse.
Now, granted, keep in mind, regionally, those are mostly in 2 states.
Sure. Absolutely.
2 of those states also happen to have NFL franchises. I follow.
They certainly do. So, and all it takes is one team to cause, a game to get forfeited. So I even if players go, oh shit, we're going to in trouble here. It takes time for it to reach a certain vaccination status. So I'm going to go over the 2.5.
I hear that. The only reason why I'm not doing the same is because I feel like preseason will provide that buffer of time for that issue.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, that's going to be something interesting to watch, obviously, over the next few weeks. Yeah. College, he put the number at 5.5. Obviously, many more college games. Real quick on this one, Kyle, 5.5 over under.
The students are taking this ish seriously. I believe the number that Gus Malzahn gave was in the 80s for UCF's program. keep in mind UCF being one of the programs affected the most in the nation, not named LSU, right? And I've even heard the argument bolstered that it hurt UCF more than LSU because UCFs were closer to the actual start of the season. So I feel like, you know, the politics are less involved with that age group, right? They tend to lean less conservative, though, so they're not necessarily affected by the freedom defense.
That's the free dumb with the MB at the end of dumb, right?
Yeah.
I'm not looking to disparage anybody. I didn't bring up your favorite caster, Clay Travis, here, so there's no reason to get dirty.
Loves him, isn't he?
But yeah, I actually have more faith in the students than I do the alleged professionals, believe it or not. I think it stays under for college football.
The only reason why I would even consider going over 5 is because there's way more schools and way more games.
Yeah, sure.
But again, I'm with Kyle. I think the kids are a lot more with it, taking it a little more seriously, you know. So I'm gonna go under. I'm gonna be the positive guy again. That's my role.
Hey, wait! I was damn positive.
He was positive on this one.
I'm not saying in general. I'm not saying you're positive. I'm saying in general. I mean, continue being positive.
Like Nash, he wants to be like Nash. Anyways,
I will actually go with you guys on this one, under the 5.5, because a lot of schools are requiring vaccination. And I looked it up because I saw it in Brian Kelly as Notre Dame star practice yesterday. Notre Dame is at 95%.
Good job.
Of their football team. But I know, like, Notre Dame as a university, you have to, I think the only way you can come back to school and be on campus without vaccination is if there is a medical exemption to it.
In this moment, I'm a Notre Dame fan. Right now, I'm a Notre Dame fan. All right, now it's over. I go.
And I want the record to show there are exceptions. Listen, if your doctor says don't take it because your medical situation, no one's bitching at you. So don't pull that card. The problem we as a panel have, I'll go ahead and speak on behalf of all of us, is I'm pretty damn sure Cole Beasley's doctor didn't say, well, son, you shouldn't need to take it. I don't think that happened.
That's my problem in general. Go ahead.
Yeah, and if he did, why he didn't say it, that's a gaffe.
Right.
In your cousin's case, it's a little different. He cites some sort of personal medical thing. I don't know why he hasn't mentioned it being a problem per se, or why he's hiding it. It could be an excuse. It could be something that doesn't matter. I don't know. But just because that's there, I have less of a problem with Cousins than I do Cole Beasley.
Sure. It's what I said on my podcast last week. You know, the move shouldn't be because look, Jim and I talked about this before. I had certain reservations about the vaccine before I got the shot, but the first move is not to go on fucking social media to see what random dork is telling you what to do or what you should do. Doctor, go to your goddamn doctor.
Exactly.
Period.
Exactly. Have a conversation with a medical. Someone in the medical profession, that, especially if you have a doctor that you see on the regular, which really you should be doing anyway. But yeah, talk to your doctor. Don't watch a YouTube video that, you know, your sister's mother's cousin posted from antivax.com. I'm just saying, talk to a doctor.
Sister's mother's cousin's former roommate.
Exactly. All right. A little quicker on these next two things in the NFL. You know, we last year we saw Dak Prescott's foot almost get snapped clean off the bottom of his leg. He returns this year. Foot seems fine. He is already out of Cowboys practice with a shoulder injury. The Cowboys have kind of been approaching it, saying day to day, he's going to be fine. I'm going to monitor him, this and that, you know, typical team speak for situations like this. But it was noted, and I caught this on Dan Patrick on Friday during the Hall of Fame game. Troy Aikman said the Cowboys are downplaying it, but I think when your franchise quarterback is missing the amount of time he's missing, I tend to think it's a bit more significant than what they have led on. So now, do I think that if this was, you know, mid-October in the heat of the season, would Dak Prescott have been on the field? Absolutely. There's no reason for Dak Prescott to be on the field for the Hall of Fame game, probably period, coming off the injury that he had, but secondly with the shoulder, whatever the situation is. But do you think that that whatever is going on with Dak and his shoulder right now is more serious? And if so, what should the Cowboys do, if anything, to bolster themselves at the quarterback position? If this is something they think is going to linger throughout the year, we can look to last season to what is going to happen to that team if 4 isn't on the field. What should the Cowboys do? EJ, we're looking at you. Do you think they're being purposely misleading here? And what should they do if they are?
I mean, whether or not they are or not, I mean, they're doing the right thing by taking their time. They're saying they're going to take their time. And the fact that you play in the NFC East gives you a lot of leeway because you can go, 2-2, 1-2, 1-3, and still feel like you're in the thick of things because again, it's the NFC East. Okay, I'm a Giants fan. I know how this works.
Right, right. We're not hiding anything.
Right, exactly. So it's not like it's a backbreaker for the Cowboys. So unlike the Colts, their situation is a little more dire because their schedule the first 5 weeks is not forgiving. I'm just saying.
2 NFC West teams.
Yeah, Rams, Seahawks, Dolphins, Titans, and Ravens. First 5 games.
Rough.
In the first 5? I'm not sure about that.
No, I went through the schedule on my podcast a couple days ago, so I knew my heart. But no, they're doing the right thing. Is it serious? Any injury for quarterbacks should be taken seriously, no matter what. And I think but I think they're doing the right thing, not rushing them back. If they feel like they might need to bring a quarterback in, bring in Nick Foles or something of that nature. I don't know what's out there currently on the waiver wire. Who's out there?
Sick part of me that wants Nick Foles in a Cowboys uniform just because of where I live geographically.
But there are options, and the Cowboys will be fine. They're the best to me. They're the best team. The favorites win the East this year, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. Listen, the NFC least is the thing, gentlemen.
100%. No disagreement from this side.
Also, let's keep something else in order. Ezekiel Elliott will be healthy again, allegedly. So I think that's a good thing.
Allegedly, he's more refocused and intent on running the football like he can, which is thankfully, hopefully that actually happens.
I mean, listen, the only one hiding anything about the badness of the NFC least is EJ trying to allege he's a Giants fan when he's really a Patriots fan. That's the only hiding mistake.
I mean, my son's name's Eli, my dog's name's OC. No big deal. Okay, no, I mean,
no. Listen, okay, now you're lying because you already know that your children's names are Wes and Vincent. Okay. How about that for pulling 2 names out your butt real quick?
And buddy.
Hey, at least I went with Vince Wilfork instead of like it's
oh wait, he's eligible for Hall of Fame next year.
That's right. And he should be, damn it.
Yes.
No, but listen, I'm just not panicked. And you mentioned the Colts. Listen, I had to rewrite that. It was one thing when Wentz was hurt. It was another when Quentin Nelson was added to the list as well. Of course, you could read the entire breakdown tomorrow at 10 a.m. when my piece drops with the 3-point conversion on whether or not the AFC South is more than meets the eye. So now that was shameless as F, people. Thank you. Right. Which I feel a certain irony that I'm plugging something for another network on this network, but enough about that.
It's totally fine. You're my guest here.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
But are you really that worried about it, Jim? As the Cowboys fan resident, like
I'm supposed to ask. He's always worried about the Cowboys. He's always
sitting here now. No, I mean if we're having this same conversation in 2 weeks, then yeah, I'm getting a little bit more concerned.
And the point I want to make is get bent, Aikman. You didn't play that much in any Hall of Fame game, and nor would you have. Suck it. Come on.
Yeah,
I agree.
I mean, dude, preseason football is a joke to begin with. But the Hall of Fame game is the jokiest of jokes that ever were joked because it's
never joked.
It's nothing's real. I mean, I have friends that get hyped because football's on TV. That's fine. You do you, man. I'll be hyped when it's real football.
I'm going to watch one play of that game last Thursday.
I saw it near the end because I got done with my 3-count Thursday, and I came up, and as I was, finishing everything up, it was on the TV. That's the only reason I saw any of it.
I was in Myrtle Beach, probably having dinner with my family.
Yeah, like I care very little at all. The only thing I care about with preseason football is my team getting through those games healthy.
Right.
Like, I care less about the Hall of Fame game than I do about All-Star games, which is a whole different conversation for a whole different day. But yeah, I'm I'm not concerned here. We'll see how the next couple of even this week I think is going to be telling as they head towards the first quote unquote real preseason game.
Yeah, listen, long and the short, I covered it a number of years back as one of my first credentialed events, and I was paying more attention to the sidelines, watching where the people in golden jackets were walking around than I was the game.
Exactly. All right, finally, as we prepare for the start of the NFL season, these were just a few names that kind of came up. Coaches potentially on the hot seat. Number one, I mean, is the seat ever cool in Dallas? Mike McCarthy, year number 2. Obviously, the struggles of last year after the Dak injury. I mean, he was brought in to turn the franchise into a winner, into a real winner. Division titles. We the Cowboys want more. 26 plus years since, or this is 26 years since they won a Super Bowl. So there's a reason he's brought here. If they fail, like I was 10, I'm 36. It's been a long time. I yes or no, Mike McCarthy, hot seat.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a surprise because of who. I mean, if he played in freaking Houston, it'd be a different story. But because of who the team is, it's the fucking Cowboys. You're immediately on a hot seat the minute you sign the fucking contract. This is what it is, man. America's team. Is it fair? Probably not. But that's how the cookie crumbles with the Cowboys.
Y'all fools can see Jason Garrett, aka the Clapper, stay on that team that long and try to tell me about the Dallas hot seat always being hot.
Yeah, that's one of Jerry's boys, though.
No, but we're talking about
exactly. Now the reason why McCarthy is unsafe is because he isn't. But let's not act like there's a constant fire on the seat. The only reason why Jason Garrett was constantly on the hot seat is because he sucked. It wasn't really hot. At the very least, he's sitting on some sort of asbestos-lined chair and probably has a gas.
It was the media narrative year to year, though, Kyle. I'm not saying that Jerry Jones, did the right thing. I'm just saying that, but every year, any normal situation, he's probably fired third year in because it's Jerry Jones's boy. Come on,
sure. Yeah. But you guys were the ones saying it's always hot in Dallas. I'm like, let's tone that down.
All right, Matt Nagy, Chicago Bears.
Definitely.
And that's unfortunate, too, because Matt Nagy hasn't been the problem, nor should he be blamed for any of the bullshit that's taken place under one of the most overrated prospects I've ever seen. Okay.
2 playoff appearances in 3 years. Not bad.
With that quarterback.
Yeah. I agree. I don't think it's right, but,
Okay. Somebody told me that quarterback at one point was better than Jimmy Garoppolo. Who's laughing now? And no, I don't mean GWSTWLIO. I would say who, but it might cause a controversy. Anyway,
don't get started on that.
But he is on the hot seat, and I have no problem saying he's on the hot seat because you know what? What's going to happen is his brand new quarterback is going to emerge and start taking his steps as the best quarterback in the franchise's history. That's right, I said it. But also, please consider how low the bar is.
Thank you.
Right, that's fair too. Yeah, I think potentially Nagy could kind of be the fall guy, but yeah, it's not his fault. Cliff Kingsbury, Arizona.
Really?
No, certainly not. I don't think it's hot.
No, this is what, second year coming up?
It's second.
Right.
Yeah, because he was a rookie along with Kyler Murray.
Right. Nah, they made some strides last year. Didn't get
the toughest division in the NFL, I might add.
We're released too. So he'll be all
right. David Culley in Houston. That whole situation in Houston is a dumpster fire, but it's not. Right. I don't think it's on him.
And because of it, that's why he'll skate no matter what. Because who knows how long Watson will be there, whether legally or just traded away.
Yeah.
So he'll get a lot of leash there. So he'll be fine.
Gentlemen, I talked to Patrick Creighton about this with the 3-point conversion, and Patrick Creighton, by the way, is with 97.5 Houston, host of the Late Hits Show, 7 to 9 Central. He didn't ask for that plug, but I gave it to him anyway because he talked to me, and I'm just that easy to please. But he made the point.
Oh my God, turkey tits.
Oh, accidentally. I meant to hit a ding, and apparently I clicked on a other sounder as well.
No offense, Patrick. But
No offense.
Wait, is that Patrick Creighton, the former Cowboy, Patrick Creighton?
What's that?
Is that Patrick Creighton, former Cowboy, Patrick Creighton, right?
I don't know his resume. I'm just
The Cowboys. I hate that guy. The same.
that he's a lot smarter than Bill Simmons. Anyway, no, but the point he makes, and he's absolutely right, is Dave Culley is somebody they didn't want. Nobody else wanted as a coordinator on either side of the ball, but somehow or another he became a head coach in Houston. He is a figurehead, period. And when they become the laughingstock and have a record of saying 3-14 is somebody may or may not have predicted, I'm pulling numbers out of the sky, or am I? Check the 3pointconversion.com. There it is. Come on, Jim. Just keep your hand on the damn button.
I might as well. It's right here.
But no, he's not. I don't even remember that. Oh yeah, he's Freddie Kitchens, basically.
Got it.
Lord, that's bad.
The seat is hot because everybody's damn seat is hot in that front office, and the only way he stays is if somehow that rolling dumpster fire somehow or another keeps plowing its sorry ass down the hill.
Vic Fangio, Denver.
I wouldn't say he's in trouble, but this is definitely an important year.
Okay.
I will say that. I will say he's definitely seat's not warm, not cold, but it's definitely keep an eye on that.
Is lukewarm an answer?
Yeah, I think it's not a hot seat; it's a lukewarm seat.
Right. I don't think it's that bad, but
it's a tough gig.
It's an uncomfortable toilet seat when you sit down.
Yeah.
If they crater this year, yes.
Okay.
So what's the win total, EJ? What does he have?
I think the runners this year for them is like 8 wins, probably 7.5, 8 wins. So if they go like 4-13, yeah.
I'm gonna have a hard time getting used to that. By the way,
4-13, he might be fired. You know what I mean? So,
so if it's a 4-game disappointment, he's out like Ryan Seacrest.
Very possible he's getting the trumpet.
You're fired.
There you go.
You're right. It's Clay Aiken. My bad. Anyway,
that's the first time I ever had somebody hitting sound drops against me. I'm not used to that. Finally, the last one I had written down, Zach Taylor, Cincinnati. That's a complicated one.
Similar to Fangio. Here's the problem with Cincinnati, though. They don't like paying people. Okay, this is like paying coaches. So I'm gonna say most likely unless they like Fangio in Denver, if he craters, definitely a hot seat. But I think more likely he'll see it through this year.
Okay.
Well, I still don't think they should have ever fired Marvin Lewis, but what do I know? No, listen.
I'm saying though.
Yeah. I can you really? I don't know where these names are, who's conjuring these names or not, but
Bill Simmons. I don't know.
That's me.
I'm just being a dick. That's all.
Just because you have one doesn't mean you have to be one. Moving on. So, bing. No. But thank you.
There we go. Thank you.
I don't need a machine. I could do my shit. Bing. Anyways, no. It's really hard for me to say you're the problem when Joe Burrow was doing so fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
You really need to let this simmer more. Yeah, I know everybody's answers is, but Kyle, what about all the protection they need? Okay, you're right. But you now have a more comfortable quarterback. You have a quarterback who knows more about trying to avoid contact. Listen, this is a quarterback that prides himself on being tough and talks about the toughness of playing in the SEC back in his college days, just a fun 2 years ago, right? So he's realizing perhaps that, taking hits isn't necessarily a sign of bravery, or maybe it is, but it's a business now, Joe. Let's not try to get the bleep kicked out of us, right? The bing kicked out of us, right? So no, I'd say no.
All right. Finally, had a question from Ryan. He asked about the historically low ratings for the Olympics this year.
Crinkle fries are awesome, Ryan. Suck it.
They are, dude. Fucking Arby's, baby. He said, do you think it'll ever rebound, or are worldwide competitions like this never going to be as big as before? Where I look at this is my issues with the Olympic coverage is first off, and I mean, time change is time change. You can only do so much about that when you're holding these games halfway across the globe. But like because this year I was unemployed, I could be watching things in the afternoon and then I tune on the nightly coverage and it's the same thing I just watched a few hours ago on a different channel. Ooh. Or if there's a certain sport I want to watch, I have to go to NBCOlympics.com, or I have to go to the Peacock app or whatever, or or it's just easier to go and find the replay of it on insert service here, whether it's through my Xfinity, through my Peacock app, whatever. That was the thing for me. Like I would have games on and things on as they were live, or as they were airing, I should say. Some live, some just airing. But it's and I think the pandemic had parts to play in this, considering there was obviously no spectators at these events. We all know it's harder to get into watching sports when there's no spectators, especially when that sport is water polo and you don't exactly know what's going on, or any Olympic sport you're not used to watching. So I think the Olympics is a much harder sell without fans in attendance, and I think people this summer getting back to amusement parks, beaches, parks, life, whatever it is, so they're not necessarily sitting at home watching the Olympic Games as well. I think for some people, politics plays a hand in it as well. I think there's a lot of factors that went in to the traditional rating numbers, and as we've talked about time and time again on my wrestling podcast, 3 Count Thursday. Where's that? There are a lot more people who don't have traditional television.
Right.
So the notion of traditional ratings has to be looked at differently, because the number of people consuming products via traditional television have gone down as well. So I don't know if they ever will recover to what we've seen before with prior Olympics. Do I think they will rebound from this Olympics? Possibly. But again, I think there's a lot more factors than just nobody's watching the Olympics.
That's the Clay Travis angle.
I wasn't going to say it.
I don't know.
What do you guys think?
Go ahead, EJ.
Again, it's just what everything rating wise is low now. Everything. Football is still the biggest show in town, but in comparison probably to maybe years ago, the problem is also there's just more to do now. There's more to watch. Everything is oversaturated at this point. So it's not surprising. It's not surprising. I mean, I think the rating and Jim, you and I, we go over this in terms of wrestling, for example, all the time. On a weekly basis about ratings.
Right.
We're never going to get back to that time because of the way we view TV today, and maybe we view shows today. Like, for example, wrestling, a little insight column. This, like, I other than AEW Dynamite now in the last couple of weeks, I've been doing this. I don't watch any of these wrestling shows live. Like the Olympics. The Olympics was it on like 14-hour delay? What it was? So it's just the way everything's framed now. You're not gonna get anywhere close to what you had back in 1988, 92, 96, 2000. Yeah. We need to kind of embrace where we're at now. Everything's not on demand. It's, I don't know. It's almost a tired drop now as I keep talking about this. Like, ratings is just not there anymore.
First of all, sir, I'll remind you that amongst the retirement portfolio between me and Mrs. of the Game, that the WWE network is among the stocks we hold. So I know a few things about them having their own network, bitch. Anyway, I was WWE style by calling you a bitch. That's what The Rock did. Anyways,
I'm talking about WWE ratings in general, not the network.
Sure.
Fox and TNT.
Right. And the fact that they have their own network puts them in a very interesting position to where they may be able to control the numbers a bit more. That's me throwing myself in there as a business intelligence analyst by day.
Right.
Granted, the Armatron and the way they did things, it was a statistically significant sample, but still, especially now that the WWE has gone as worldwide as it has too. And, you got John Cena making controversial apologies to China and things like that. That's a whole other conversation.
Sure.
To where? Who he apologized to?
To China, right?
China.
We're at dueling Trumps.
China.
Where am I? I'm in hell.
I know words. I have the best words.
Sorry.
Listen, Corona, bro. You leave Trump alone. He's talking about China. We lost everybody. Don't mess with me, Jim. Talent. I'm your worst nightmare. No. Good God.
I got a feeling every podcast with Jim and I do from now on going forward is going to have dueling soundboard.
We're just going to duel each other on these.
It's your turn.
I'm literally going to get the dueling banjos.
The thing sucks.
Yeah, no, you're going to play it live. That's what you
No joke though, Kyle. I've seen his
live.
It's the fucking best, dude. His soundboards are the fucking best, dude. Especially Bobby Lashley one's the best.
Like price is wrong, bitch.
To try to save the host from his own show and put it back on track. No, the thing I think that's being left out of a lot of this is a couple things. And granted, like if they're comparing it to last year's Summer Olympics, that's obviously not a good comparison because 14-hour differences matter. Okay, we can't really shrug it off. However, a couple other questions. I believe the previous Olympics might have had Michael Phelps, ? Or some other big name, okay? The NBA team that is the Team America, not a thing, okay? They're less world police now and more, well, they're not good, is what I'm saying. Oh, my God. That's what I'm talking about.
He has everything, dude. He has everything.
He's like, oh, world police, bitch. Hey, get a Maui one for me. What can I say except you're welcome? Anyway.
Oh, wait, there's nothing better than this one, though.
Mommy!
Sorry.
Never do that again, EJ. So damn it. So like, and then you add that to the NBA team, and then Simone Biles getting the twisties, which I take seriously. I'm not saying that that's
absolutely.
But her being probably the foremost athlete in America recognizable. And I don't know if you're speaking to American ratings or worldwide rankings, but the American television market is, a big part of it, as is, it's going to be the bigger consumer basis in this instance.
I assume he's talking American ratings.
Okay. So Simone Biles not performing where she would have otherwise is a factor. And you guys being WWE people, wrestling people, as it were, with all your 3-count stuff in the back down for 3-count Thursday, Jim. Bing! He's like, son of a bitch. I think you guys are really skipping the fact that because we didn't know if this Mother Hunter was happening or not, there wasn't hype.
Sure. Yeah, there was.
I barely knew. The only reason I knew was because of my good friend Danny Thompson on Beyond the Buzzer was there to remind me.
Yeah, so it's certainly, it certainly was a challenge going into it. Will they recover? Possibly, but not.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't think anything will ever be to the level of the peak of the Olympics. But that's where we're going to leave this thing. Now it's going to be our real plug time. And EJ, we'll start with you. Let everybody know what you got going on.
My podcast, wrestling podcast on all podcast catchers. My wrestling podcast, Take the Wrestling Podcast, also on all podcast catchers. Fellas, it was fun. Had a great time. I got to run. Wife's calling me.
All right, ma'am.
You handle that mental health, brother. Seriously.
Absolutely, man. Take care, guys.
All right, see you.
You got it.
Kyle, let the people know.
I am
Kyle Nash. Where they can follow you.
Yeah, exactly. I am Kyle Nash, the student of the game. You can find me on Twitter at the SOTG. Find me on Facebook as the student of the game. Find me on Instagram as the SOTG. Check out my work with the 3-point conversion. That's the number 3. .com. Of course, check out my AFC South preview coming out tomorrow morning. That should be a good time for all involved. I have some other stuff in the works with the 3-point conversion that'll be coming out, a few compilation articles, so look out for that. You see, a football season is coming, so probably have some coverage for you there. Check me out as well on Beyond the Buzzer, 9 o'clock Thursdays currently. Probably will change that for the NFL season. But in the meantime, you can find me and Danny Thompson doing the damn thing, as the kids say. So when you're done with 3 Count, come and check us over for the sports that aren't live entertainment. No offense. And and then also my work with Hilarity by Default and Demosthenes. You could go to Hilarity by Default on YouTube, subscribe. Got a lot of quality stuff there. And hey, more to come here. We've been recording a lot of stuff, doing a retrospective on the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, and we recently dropped some more required viewing here. Or I should say recorded. It is still in the can. It is not dropped yet, but look for that to come soon. Of course, my work with Old School 101.com, Captain Company Morning Show. Check them out on Facebook and Twitch. Captain Company in the Morning with Captain Chris Hill, and of course myself, where I am there once a week to talk a little shenanigans and maybe a little bit more depending on what's going on. Big Jim, always a joy to be in the presence of a celebrity such as yourself. And listen, hopefully you have no problems with any products you own that are made from or made in China. So I'll leave it there.
Yeah, you can. I want to
China.
thank all you guys for joining me tonight. I'm sure we'll be talking here on EJ's Pod, everywhere else throughout the football season. So, Kyle, thank you. Thank you to EJ. And you can, of course, make sure you are following along with the show at Huddle Up Podcast on Facebook and Twitter, and on Instagram at Huddle Up Pod. Our home network, of course, NGSC Sports at ngscsports.com. Our secondary home is the Leap Sports and Music Network, LEEIB Sports.com. Subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, all podcast platforms, YouTube as well. Rate and review us on Apple. We would appreciate that. And until the next time we talk to you, which we're going to be firing the weekly machine back up here soon, stick with us. Follow us on social media so you never miss a show. And until then, stay safe, stay smart, and go for the win.